We're going to show you how to manage your portal settings. In this new version of NestApp, there's a whole lot of transformation from the previous to this new one. In the new one here, we try to make your work easier, simpler, and also seamless. So we're going to show you how to handle settings. In the previous version of NestApp, you have to conduct or add all your settings for the school before you can even start becoming operational. But in this new version, you don't have to make sure that all settings must be in place before you can conduct your work. In this setting, we're going to go through the 4 different group of settings. We have the general settings, we have the academic settings. That means setting that has to deal with academics itself, like grading and reporting. We have settings for security. You can have access to this portal and the privileges of managers and what they can do on your platform. We also have a setting that has to do with your website, what should show up on your website. But let's start with the first one, which is the general settings, which has to do with the overall functionality of your website and also this your back-end portal. Clicking on the general settings, as you can see here, there are a group of informations here. The first group here, which is very, very key, and this is the most important information which you have to set. You have to set your educational level or education level. You have to set the session and term that should be applied to each of the education level. For instance, we have here primary school. When you pick a primary school, in this case, now you have to pick the session you're trying to deal with, and also have to pick the term you're trying to deal with. To be able to pick the session and term and also the educational level, ensure that you have added the educational level in your organization profile, also added sessions and term that should be used to. So you do this for the different school levels. You can move to nursery school in this case. Now I also have to pick the session. I also have to pick the term. Anytime there is a switch of session and term, you have to come to the settings and manipulate this information. Another set of information here we have here are information that pertains to your website mostly. For instance, here, this is your back-end environment. So these settings here will not really apply here much. It will apply to your website. That means what people see, what visitors see on your website mostly. So on your website, we have your currency, what we use there, and currency cannot be changed. All right. The reason why it can be changed is because when you sign up, we stipulated that you cannot change currency again, because this is what will be used in recording all your money. So by the time we want to start changing this again, those money might invalidate, or those information might be invalidated. So that's why you can't change it again. You have your language in this order, and you can change your language from English to French or to any other language that we consider here. You also have the font. Font has to do with how should the characters look like. All right. So by default, we have what we call Vietnam. You can have different types of fonts here. You can change your time zone. Time zone is very, very key for different schools here. Okay. So if your school is in Nigeria, you should use a West Africa time zone. If it's in US, find a different time zone that really fits you there. But by all means, you're using the right time zone. Don't leave it by chance because of the dates. We also have the exporting information. So every export you make on your report. So this one applied to your backend actually. If in case students want to export their information or you want to export their information, there are different export methods. So for now we have Excel, Microsoft Excel. When there are other methods, it will be added here. We have the date format. So this will be the date format of how dates appear on your websites. All right, so you can pick that. The time format, when does your week starts, okay, for work. So most people start say Sunday, some Saturday, some can even call it any type of day, but have a liberty to choose that. Then for result that generated, most times you want to use, for instance, schools that use what they call result checking pins or result checking scratch cards. They probably want to sell off those scratch cards and make some money on their own. Okay, so before they do that, there's a tutorial that will show you how to generate what they call result pins. Those pins, by default, when you generate them, those pins can be used on at least by default 2 report cards. For most schools, those pins should be used on only 1. When you sell a pin for a student for their report, it can only be used for just that report. It can be used more than this number of times. You can choose up to 10 of them, 10 reports, probably 1. Why should I use 2? Why should I use 5? It's possible that, okay, you want to sell 1 pin to a parent, and that pin can be used for all their students at once than to sell different pins. So that's why you can use 2, 3, 4, 5, then up to 10. So but mostly you want to stick to 1. On the right hand side here, we have your portal URL. This is a tutorial portal or tutorial class. This may not be the same with what you're saying, but the most important thing is that when you created your portal, you make use of a subdomain, so you can change the subdomain to any subdomain. You provide your contact information, which will show up on your website and also on your login page, like your email, support, and your phone number. Ensure you pick the right prefix here or the right phone number dial code. You can even search from here. If you're making use of WhatsApp and Telegram, you can provide the WhatsApp number and the Telegram number here. Ensure that you provide the country code too. Below them, there's some information that has to do with your portal itself. For instance, you want to show top modules and add-ons. This is example of top modules here and add-ons here. So if you turn this off, here means you want to hide this information here. Again, you want to show video tutorials, play button, and subheaders. This is what we mean here, because for each of the module, most likely you will see this play button. This play button would enable you to view the video tutorial that has to do with this environment here. So you can turn that off. By default, it's turned on. You want to also probably show dates of your school, and by default, this is where the current date shows. This date here is the date from the time zone of your school. Different students can be in different time zone, but this date here would give them the date for your current school time zone, so they can sync with your current school time zone and not on their own different dates. This is very, very key. Then we also have show date and time on dashboard. So on your dashboard, there is room for you to view date and time, that to current school date and time. Then we also have show summarize user statistics on dashboard, which is there by default. So this setting is very, very key. You should master it, and if you set this setting, then you can start adding your academic information or financial information. So after you make some changes here, you can simply click save here at once. Save here, so that changes will take effect. And take note, this is just general settings. The next tutorial will show you how to do other forms of settings.